This is the Anything Goes Project video stream. Please be patient, the show will begin momentarily. Remember, the show can be reached via email at stalkermailbox@gmail.com, or simply call in and leave us a voicemail at 361-433-5739. If you like the show, please subscribe and leave us a rating. This helps the show to be seen. More video streams can be found on the Anything Goes Project YouTube channel. To help the show, subscribe and like the channel. The Anything Goes Project can be found on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Castbox, Stitcher Radio, or anywhere you get your podcast media from. You're listening to the Anything Goes Project. Interesting topics, interesting things. Real stories by real people. Your host is Mike. The Anything Goes Project is a production of M&C Designs. Be advised, this show may not be suitable for all ages. Many of the topics are for mature audiences only. The explicit tag is there for a reason. If you would like to contact the show, email us at stalkermailbox@gmail.com, or leave us a message at 361-433-5739. And now, on with the show.
Good evening, everybody. This is Mike with the Anything Goes Project, and tonight I've got an awesome guest for you. Bringing in another stand-up comedian, Marc Gordon. He started off doing comedy and then switched into doing TV and is now doing political music videos. So Marc, welcome to the show. How are you doing tonight?
I am doing fantastic. Thanks for having me on your show.
So where are you at right now?
Where am I?
Yes.
Physically in LA, Los Angeles. Right.
Okay, so you're not experiencing these cold fronts that are coming down that a lot of people that I know are already saying, oh, it's snowing here. And I'm like, I'm still sweating my ass off.
It dipped to 80 degrees today. Sorry, the rest of the country.
Ooh, a whole 80.
Yes. At night, though, you might have to wear a long sleeve shirt. So
we had a minor cold front that rolled in today with a little bit of rain, and I was riding my motorcycle, and I was like, oh, well, I actually kind of need my windbreaker for this.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
So,
it is sad, though. I'm originally from Philadelphia, and I was just there, and it was like insane weather, 90s, and it dipped to 60 and up. And when it dipped to 60, everyone was like, oh, it's not bad, but you get used to that. You get that blood thin, and it definitely nips a little bit.
yeah, it does. I used to do a lot of work up north when I'd get called out to do stuff, and I'd be up in Detroit and right there on the border of Canada, on the lakes and everything. When you get in the lake-affected snow coming in, I was miserable.
Oh yeah, it's definitely not fun.
Well, Marc, welcome to the show. I'm glad we were able to finally hook up. I know we had to reschedule a couple of times, but here we are. We made it, and this is actually really cool because it kind of gave me a little bit of a break in between stand-up comedians, because I had one on a couple of weeks ago, and so this kind of gives my audience a little bit of a break from one comedian. Then we did some other people, and now I got another stand-up comedian. So,
perfect.
Awesome. So let's go into this. You started out your career in stand-up comedy. I mean, were you hitting like the clubs in LA? And
so I started off back in Philadelphia,
mm-hmm.
and I started off taking a class in stand-up, and it was something that I always wanted to do. I tried it out, and the class was really good because you had to write jokes and get in front of everybody. So it was like, okay, do not want to embarrass myself. So it forced you to go write and really test a lot of different material out.
Yeah.
And then the first show, I probably had 25 friends and family there, which could be good and bad because
they know you.
Yeah, exactly. They know you. You definitely don't want to tank because you'll never hear the end of it, especially your really good friends. They'll definitely never let you live that down. But that first show was great. And then it just kind of helped me, propelled me to push. And then I was doing some shows up in New York. A buddy of mine had a restaurant. So we would go up there and pull different people. I think we didn't even realize was we were in the street trying to pull people in. I think we might have actually had like Jim Gaffigan back before he was like super famous.
Yeah.
Show. So it is kind of funny to see where things went from there.
Well, let me stop you real quick because one of the things I wanted to touch on here, because I've noticed this with a lot of people that do stand-up comedy or any type of getting in front of a camera and doing any type of speaking or on stage. You said that you actually went and took a class on writing jokes and improvisation and stuff like that. And that's something I just want to touch on real quick, because I know a lot of my audience, they don't realize the amount of work that goes into it. You don't just get up on a stage and somebody goes, make me laugh, funny man. And you've got you actually have to plot these things out and stuff.
Oh yeah, that is a great point, because that's like the one thing that people are so nervous about, because you're so vulnerable. Like you can go up and you act, you have that script that you rely on, and there's so many directions you're playing off some, but it's just you. Like it's like your whole body, your soul is naked. Mm-hmm. So getting that formula down and kind of finding your voice is so important. And then those classes are really, really good to set that foundation. I think once you have that foundation, then you're like, okay, this works for me, this doesn't. But yeah, it definitely is a really tough art form.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to bring that up, because a lot of people that are listening, they think, oh, a stand-up comedian, you, like I said, you just get up on stage and you tell jokes. I've done public speaking. I wasn't a comedian. I mean, I tell you, I'm not funny at all. I would get up on stage and I would talk to people about of all the boring things, numismatics and taxes and debt and things like that. But I had to sit down and write my speeches. And when you get up in front of a crowd of 1,000 people and they're talking, it changes the whole dynamic of your speech and everything. So there's practice that has to go into it. Starting out in some of the smaller venues and working your way up to some of these bigger venues, that's just part of doing it. And I know it's pretty much the same way with you guys.
Yeah, I think public speaking is interesting, because if you're doing a topic, and I'm sure it was a great speech, but I'm sure like you're talking about taxes, it's probably you're not going to have people like rolling in their seats laughing. So
I did every now and then.
You did? Okay, that's good. You got those jokes in. But in comedy, you're like, people laugh that they're with you, but I'm sure in yours, you're like, okay, are they following along? You probably don't know until the Q&A at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, this isn't something you just jump up and do. We have to practice doing it. And I was glad that you mentioned that about the improv class, because, hey, you know what? I may have somebody listening right now that thinks they're funny as hell. You know what? Go take a class. Please take a class, because they're going to put you in front of people. You're going to get to test your talent and your skill and everything. And it hones you. And
oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah, and I say that with any profession. The more you learn about your profession, the more you get honed in on that, and you can start excelling in it, I guess you would say.
Absolutely. Actually, I started a program teaching years ago, teaching acting to kids, and we just focused on like commercials and improv, and there were like 8 to 14. But most of it, what I said is, we're not trying to make your kid a star. The odds are stacked. But what I'm working on is self-confidence and getting up and being in front of people, which that skill translates to pretty much any profession, that you have to be in front of people. If you're comfortable in front of people, you can pretty much, do anything. So I think just even thinking it on that level, I know a lot of people, they would actually take some of these classes and they're like, yeah, I do a lot of presentations and business and marketing, and I want to be able to make it like fun and entertaining, or kind of like what you're saying too.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm all for that. Even if you're just going to be a guy who's planning on getting up and giving speeches at Toastmasters or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, hey, get in the practice, because, and honestly, my favorite thing is comedians, because, and I've said this 100 times probably throughout my life, laughter is the best medicine.
Yes.
You could be down in the dumps feeling like total shit. Go watch somebody that makes you laugh at the silliness of life.
Yes.
And you just feel 100% better.
Yeah, that's what I kind of did. Like, I just shot a sketch where I spoofed, because I was like, Sean Spicer's on Dancing with the Stars. I mean, this guy was the propaganda master. I'm like, well, this guy's we got to be spoofed. And the thing we set up is I made my character, Sean Spicer, dressed as the Little Mermaid to dance. And I was like dancing, show shirt off with like little covers on the nipples and stuff. And I'm like, you know, a lot of people are like, why'd you do that? Because it made you laugh. And it was ridiculous. And you play that character and you just like, okay, as long as I get a laugh out of somebody, that's good for me.
Yeah. And, you know, hats off to Sean Spicer. Because, I mean, like you said, he was the propaganda guy for the White House, probably one of the most hated people in the White House by media and stuff. And he had the balls enough to do something silly. Dancing with the Stars.
Yes. Yes. So, I mean, you wear that green ruffled.
I saw that.
And I'm like, wow, yeah, you're really gonna make yourself the brunt of the joke.
Yeah, and you know, he probably was like, you know what's it gonna hurt? Now I'm just gonna go have fun.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, get that check.
And you think after they do the impeachment that they'll put Trump on in Dancing with the Stars?
That's what I'm thinking. Yes, so you can tap dance or something.
Be an orange jumpsuit tap dance.
Exactly.
Okay, you can see which way I lean politically.
We're right there.
Oh man, so yeah, at this point you kind of you doing your stand-up comedy. I mean, what kind of venues were you playing, or were you doing it in?
Yeah, in Pennsylvania, you were kind of limited at the time. This was back in the 90s. So we did it there was this place, and we were like in the basement of this like little hotel.
Oh man.
There was another spot in Philly, or you had to go up to New York. I think now they had a couple places. So when you play places like that, man, you definitely get a thick skin. So you definitely learned a lot. Then when you come out to LA, then there's a lot of places, but you're doing a lot of open mics. So back in Pennsylvania, you're doing shows where you have real audience, very few open mics, which are actually good audiences. Out here, you were getting open mics, which are terrible audiences because they're just very angry. They don't want anyone else to succeed, and you're doing these bringer shows.
Yeah.
So yeah, you definitely were like, wow, I really kind of went through the ringer, and that kind of. I mean, there's some shows where it was like 3 people. Or I had a show one time, it was, and the guy in front of me was so bad, the people got up and left. Like the guy literally for 5 minutes talked about masturbating. I kid you not, for 5 minutes. I've heard about people got up and walked first time I saw it. So it was just me and 2 people at a table, and I literally just sat at their table with just 2 jokes in front of that, like for them.
Yeah, and then you get the professional hecklers. They just go to those to heckle.
Oh. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You get those. And I remember once before I even got on stage, I got booed. It was like a Tuesday night. It was these bringer shows, and they just put as many comics on as possible and try to make these long shows. So it was like Tuesday late night, getting close to midnight, and they're like, Damon Wayans is coming. Damon Wayans is coming. So everyone's like, yeah, I'm going to stay. Then they're like, well, Damon Wayans isn't here. Marc Gordon's going to be here. And literally the whole place booed. Because they were buying all these extra drinks. Nobody wanted to stay and see like me. So
yeah.
That was probably one of the weirdest experiences. One of the best I have, there was a movie screening, it was like Kill Bill 2. And it was like only for actors screening there, and about 400 seat theater. And right beforehand, they were having like projector issues. So they're like, hey, anybody have some announcements? And one girl's like, I'm doing stand up on a show. And they're like, do some. And she did it. So I was like, ice cold. Let me just walk up in front of everybody and try to do some jokes. And that was like, this is the biggest room. And that one was like probably one of the best experiences I ever did, or the biggest.
Yeah.
Nobody preparing for it. Nobody's drinking or anything. So it was it definitely got and gave me a lot of confidence.
Yeah. And you got to make people laugh.
Yes.
I mean, they were having projector issues. Probably some people sitting in the crowd like, really, we need to hurry up and get this over with, get this going, so on. And you got up there and made them laugh.
Yeah, that was fun.
Awesome. Okay, so from there, I think I just cut my finger.
Oh, no.
I felt something. That's what my face went, oh, okay.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I don't know how I did it.
Yeah, I didn't see any. I can't see what's under the table though.
Yeah. Oh, well, I set my hand down on the table and I felt something stab me, and it looks like I got a cut on my finger. I didn't realize that. I was like, "What the hell?" Okay, so now you're in LA. Is this at the point where you actually went in to start doing some TV stuff on sitcoms
Yeah,
and things like that?
yeah. That was always something that I just loved TV, and I just love like having a character and really getting to expand it over a season or many seasons. And when I started doing that, I was doing like some extra work, like a lot of people do. And there was a guy from my high school. He was wearing a high school jacket, and I heard about him. He was like 20 years older than me. And it was on the show called Son of the Beach. And I started talking to him, and we had kind of had some of the same teachers, and he kind of like mentored me. And so I got to really be on the set and really learn a lot. And I just asked once if I can sit on a writing session, which that was eye-opening because and I learned so much. And then I was like, okay, I kind of know what to do. And I made like a short, like a 10-minute short called Rock This, which is kind of like this raunchy comedy about a rock band who I crashed a car and we played an old age home and I got to get money. And I think, hey, maybe I can get like a sugar mama to give me money. And she had different ideas. She was looking for sex. And so I got that. And because like learning from being on the shows got that, then I got into a lot of festivals, which kind of really opened things up. And then I kind of went back and wrote like a full 30-minute sitcom with one of my buddies.
Okay. What was the sitcom name?
That's called Heavenly Kingdom, which we're trying to get that. We did like we're trying to do a Kickstarter to get money.
Oh,
to get
yeah.
going. But all my stuff is kind of like edgy comedy with like the tie-ins are like the friendships, and the friendships are kind of like family.
Okay.
And I usually make all my characters have the female as the alpha character, and then more of like the kind of more like the bumbling kind of B character looking for something.
Okay, so like with the edgy comedy or stuff like that, it's not going to be something, if it does get greenlit for a studio, it's not going to be something that's like on ABC or CBS. It's going to be more like a Fox or something like that.
It'll be something more like streaming, more cable.
Okay.
Which luckily, like when I first started, like TV now, I think is like the best it's ever been, and better than a lot of the movies outside of Star Wars. But I feel had to do them very. We both talk. We're both very excited for that. But yeah, I feel like TV right now is like the golden era. So I have a couple different shows that I really want to do. Some are like easy streaming, some talk shows, and then some are a little bit more complex because I just love where the medium is right now.
Yeah, and I've been watching a lot of the TV. I don't watch a lot of movies because I kind of get let down by a lot of movies now lately. Cause I'm a big horror movie fan, and just there's really nothing out there that has been really good. It was pretty good, both chapters of that, but it's like I've been getting let down by a lot of movies because you go in with high expectations, and then you're like, oh, you guys just blew a big wad of money on this, and you just kind of fizzled out at the end. But the TV, that's where I've been seeing a lot of these originals popping up. Like these, yeah, like Hulu originals, Prime originals, and then the Netflix originals. And it's like, holy crap, some of these are really good. So it's putting, I guess you could say, the competition back in, because for the longest time it was, you wanted to watch something, you had to go ABC, CBS, or NBC. That was where you went and saw your little sitcoms or something going on. But now it's like, hey, you know what? I also pay for these subscription services, and boom, I can go watch the new Afterlife series with what's his name? Ricky Gervais in it. That was excellent. It was funny. There's another one, Katie Sackhoff, or she was Starbuck in the. Damn, I'm going to lose my Battlestar Galactica.
Okay.
Yeah, she was Starbuck in Battlestar Galactica. Well, they just released a new Netflix original with her in it, and it takes place in space too. And my wife and I sat and watched it. We were like, damn, that was actually really good.
I gotta watch some of these. That's what I love. There's so much, like any genre right now. I feel like there's something for everybody.
Yeah, even in the political spectrum. I mean, The Handmaid's Tale. Who hasn't been watching some of that and been looking at our current administration going, holy shit.
Yeah, looking like they want The Handmaid's Tale. It's like a guide for them.
Yeah, and it's funny. Everybody asks, they're all up and, oh man, I love the show and stuff. And I was like, I had to read that book when I was in high school.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think the book came out in the 80s, and I read the book my junior year in high school to do a report on it. And I was like, oh man, this book is freaking terrifying. And then Margaret Atwood, they worked with her to do the series. And I've been watching the series and been really enjoying it. And then just the other day, I noticed that they released another book to the series. They released another book to Handmaid's Tale. It's called The Testament. And I was like, oh man, now I'm gonna have to get that one. I think wow. she won a major awards for that book back in the 80s. New York Times bestsellers and all kinds of stuff.
You probably thought back then, they're like, it'll never happen.
Yeah, it'll never happen.
Yeah, now you're like, oh man, hope it doesn't come that bad.
Yeah, it's like, and then I'm now realizing I live in the South.
Oh man.
How quickly can I get to Canada?
I went to, actually, it's funny. I went to school in the South. I went to Tulane. So right in New Orleans. And when I was there, this is the craziest thing. There was a governor race, which was between Edwin Edwards, who was a convicted criminal, and David Duke.
Oh, I remember when David Duke was running. I was living in South Texas at the time.
Oh wow, that was a crazy thing. You're like,
that was crazy because I had lived growing up. My stepdad's family was all from Louisiana, so I lived in both Louisiana, Mississippi, and Texas off and on. So I remember when all that David Duke crap was going on. I'm like, and I'm sitting here in my mind, and everybody's going, hey, he's a good candidate, and I'm sitting there going, he's a freaking Klan member.
Yeah. Oh, I remember because I was running cross country at the time, and we would travel around to different schools through some really rural areas, and you'd see the Duke signs. You're like, oh man, well, I hope the bus doesn't break down around here.
Yeah, no shit. And when somebody comes up to you and tells you, oh, I'm supporting him, you're like, okay, now I know who I'm not going to be hanging out with.
Yeah, and usually I'm pretty boastful, but I think only a few times. I remember once I had stitches. I was in Orange County. I was living down there for a little bit. I was surfing, and the doctor kept saying how much he was a Republican, and he kept asking me like, "Oh yeah, what's your political?" I'm like, "I'm with you until like the stitches are at least done." And then I'm like, "Yeah, let me tell you a little bit." Once there's no more medical procedures,
come on over to the liberal side.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me tell you what it's going to be like when we have universal health care.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, let's wait until after the stitches are out. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I don't discuss politics with people that I generally meet in public and stuff like that, because usually it's like the guy who's working on my plumbing.
Yeah.
Or installing something electrical, and it's like he's like, "Oh yeah, well this and this," and I'm like, "Sure."
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. I want my plumbing to work.
Yeah, you don't want to cherry bomb in your
Yeah, I've seen too many horror stories of people that especially this last few years, that have just been horrific. Basically, it started getting people to show their true colors this last couple of years, I think.
Yeah,
and these same people it's funny because these same people that are doing this kind of stuff, then they start balking back at me online and stuff like that. I was like, well, when we didn't why are you dogging on him so hard? I mean, he's the president of the United States. We didn't do that kind of stuff with Obama. And I'm like, really? Let me show you some pictures of, oh, well, this is somebody hanging an Obama effigy by a noose and burning it.
You remember? I remember actually having a discussion with somebody. Obama came off a plane holding a coffee cup and just did like a salute to one of the soldiers there. And Republicans lost their minds. Meanwhile, we have a guy who literally had our allies slaughtered.
Yeah.
And then defending that. I'm like, you can't compare what Obama did.
Yeah. Oh, and heaven forbid he wore a tan suit.
Yeah. Oh, well, that is terrible. A tan suit.
Yeah. At least he never went on to Air Force One with toilet paper hanging off his shoe.
or the umbrella.
Yeah. My question is, toilet paper on his shoe. How many hundreds of people did he go by that saw that toilet paper on his shoe and decided not to say anything?
I'm sure a lot of them are behind the back are like, this is amazing. They're probably taking like pictures of the toilet paper on the shoe.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, wow, your cabinet doesn't like you, dude.
Oh no, I don't think anybody does.
Yeah,
I think Milani's making a hole under somewhere over there.
Oh yeah, I just saw that recent video clip where he reached back to grab her hand and she slapped his hand out of the way.
Oh yeah, God,
I was cracking up, and I'm like, you could just see the ire on her face. Like, I have to sleep with you.
Okay, what's your take? My take is they definitely don't, or not in the same bedroom, and definitely.
I don't think they are. I mean, it would just be speculation on my part, because it doesn't matter what I say. Somebody's going, oh yeah, they are. But just from her reactions to him, the way he doesn't even walking in the rain, he's under the umbrella, she's behind him in the rain and everything. It's like that. Honestly, I think she's just waiting on him to die.
That's what I think, and get that money.
She's gonna get that old, what's her name, that one Playboy bunny that married the billionaire.
Oh yeah. What was it? Yes.
Anna Nicole Smith.
Yes, that was it.
That was her. Yeah, I think she's gonna try that.
I can only imagine the discussion after you had a payout of $130,000 while his wife was pregnant and sleeping with a porn star. How that talk went.
I can pretty much tell you how that talk would have gone in my house.
Oh, so you did that. You did that kind of payoff too.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying. I can tell you what it would be like if I had done something like that in my house. It'd have been like, oh, you paid somebody $135,000 to sleep with them? Great. Pack your shit and leave.
I don't think your stuff would probably be on the front lawn, right?
Yeah, it would. There wouldn't even have been a discussion. There would have been a, why is there $130,000 missing from our checking account? Oh, you porn star, great. Yeah, you're out of here, buddy.
Yeah, that's how the normal marriage would go.
Yeah, and then all this crap with Epstein and stuff like that. And I'm sure you're going to be doing some political. Since we're on this topic here, let's go into your music videos. You're saying you're doing some political videos and political shorts. You talked a little bit about them at the beginning before we started. So let's go into that.
I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, so so for me, I found back in 2016, I was really into Bernie. And I really loved the energy that Bernie brought in. So we tried to do a little bit of fundraisers, and I was doing like comedy and hip hop for Bernie. So we brought in different people, and I'd go to these different rallies. And sometimes you get a chance to speak, and I learned like a lot of the people there would do the same exact speech, fire and brimstone, and a lot of times people would kind of tune it out. So I found when I was able to inject some comedy or make it fun, more people listen, and then more people in the middle who didn't really follow as much as probably like you and I do, are like, oh, yeah, I didn't really know that, but you now I'm kind of following more. So that was kind of the theory behind all that, seeing how all these things work. So the video I made was Diaper Don. And I was like, okay, we're going to talk about some of the issues. I couldn't make it really super certain topics because it changes by the hour.
Yeah.
So the image was, Diaper Dom, what do you do when you have like this autocrat who is an image? Let's make him to a baby. So we had a big fat baby in a diaper, and that was Donald Trump. And I had like Ivanka, Melania, and Sarah Huckabee kind of around him in that orbit. And that's kind of what the rap was about. I kind of touched a little bit on Stormy, Vladimir Putin holding his purse strings in a real funny way. And I always love doing rap. One, I can't really sing, and two, I just kind of like I feel like rap is very political form. And I was kind of inspired by like Hamilton and kind of with some of the stuff that he did.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of the concept of the video, and it turned out really well. We shot on a green screen and kind of had these kind of blended green screen of kind of like a cartoon with live images in.
Okay, and you did this back in 2016?
No, that wasn't in 16. 16 was me kind of getting into the movement and kind of learning about it. This one I did that one I just kind of did recently.
Okay, I was wanting to know if maybe your video had influenced that big diaper, the Donald Trump baby float thing that they've got.
No, I liked what they did, and I was like, that's perfect. That's the only way to make Trump, I felt like, is he's a big giant baby.
Yeah, and in my opinion, he is too. I mean, bellyache, moan, and complain about every little thing instead of, hey, let's concentrate on what we need to do.
Exactly, and if I was gonna like go on like a 2.5 minute rant, people would zoom out, but people will go and watch that video.
Yeah.
And that's all I wanted, and I'm on all these different political groups and just sending it out. And a lot of people are like, "Thank you, man. That I needed that because it's too nuts. I needed to laugh at the situation."
Yeah, and that's what I love about what you're doing. Political satire. That's especially when you've got crap that's going on left and right. You don't know who's telling you the truth here, who's telling you the truth there, or whatever. But I guess sometimes we just need to sit back and laugh about it all, how absurd some of this is that's going on.
Oh, absolutely. And for me, since I'm not like on any network doing this or anything else, I'm not worrying about sponsors or anything really. I'm just kind of just putting content out just for kind of like some of the, like what Bernie's doing, just kind of doing it like, word of mouth, grassroots.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool. Like I had someone actually, I saw it on Twitter, that put one video, like, who is this guy? Like, I'm trying to look at his handle, and someone else was like, oh, here's this information. I was like, wow, that was really cool that someone gave my information out. I kind of felt like, wow, okay, it's kind of touching to somebody.
Yeah. And laughter, like I said, laughter is the best medicine. You could be feeling down in the dumps about this. I mean, I've had to personally step back from watching the news because it seems like every time I turn on the TV, it's just, it pisses me off. It's exhausting. And so I used to have my channels and everything set up, because you know how you can do the split screen, and I would have split screened different networks on there to where I could watch and see and compare who's doing what and stuff like that. And I would stay on top of things, but then I started noticing that it was affecting my mood. It was affecting the way I was interacting with people in society. I've got some people that I deal with, like prime example today. I got a guy that's all diehard Trump, and it's like today he came in today and it's like, I can't stand the government. And I just put it in my earbuds, and somebody else had to listen to him. And they turned around and looked at me and they went, why didn't you help me out on this? I said, because dude, that's a rabbit hole that I have no desire to go down right now.
You can't change a lot. Like I'll go on to like Fox News or Breitbart and all those things just to see what they're talking about. And they don't even cover the news or the topic of the day. It's so insulated. Yeah,
it's a lot of times to get the actual news of what's going on, you have to go to like alternate sources like overseas, the BBC, World News and stuff like that to catch anything, because what you're being shown on our TV networks is just what's the hot button. Like, well, yeah, this is what's going on. Yeah, but there was a mass shooting just an hour ago. Why aren't we covering that?
Exactly, yeah. And that's kind of why another reason with the sketches that kind of gets through some of that. Although I do actually, I mean, it's funny, you'll know, like when you're posting, like I'll post on Trump's like Facebook or Twitter, then you get some of his fans on there too. And it's kind of funny to see the comments that they make.
Yeah, they just write the material for you.
Yeah, so, they do. I mean, I've been ripped on by so many people of Trump supporters, and I find it so humorous. One, it's either uninformed. I had someone say, "You're as dumb as a gnat," spelled the gnat K-N-A-T.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was like, if you're gonna spell a 4-letter word, gotta get the spelling right.
Yeah.
A little bit and insult me doesn't help your point.
Yeah, I get that too on social media. Somebody will go to insult me, and it's like, and then I'll do a screen capture of their insult, and then I'll use my edit tool, and I'll do like the teacher would do in the red. And yeah, no, you can't have this here. You got to have a comma here. By the way, you misspelled this, and then I'll repost it for them.
Which always gets them. They're like, oh, okay.
It always ends with the proverbial "fuck you, I'm not talking to you anymore" block.
And you got to feel a little bit satisfied. You're like, I kind of diffused that situation.
Yeah.
You didn't have to call them names. They just did it themselves.
Yeah. It's like, okay. It's like cafefe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And that's why another one I did. I was another one I'm going to be releasing very soon. It's called Moscow Mitch, which is Mitch McConnell hates to be called Moscow Mitch. So I'm like, well, let's just get under his skin. So I have that one where we're showing him as a turtle. Lindsey Graham as well in there. And for me, that's like what you're saying. I get so angry, and it does affect the mood. And if that's why I need these creative outlets to basically make my mood better.
And we don't see enough of that now. It used to be. Let's track back in time, 1930s, the 1940s, 50s. If you picked up a newspaper back then, there was some sort of political cartoon in there, and they were meant to make people laugh at what was going on. You don't see that hardly anymore. Even back in the days of like Tammany Hall and stuff like that, they always had these political cartoons to poke fun at the people that were running everything. It made us feel better. It made us laugh at the situations. Like, hey, yeah, shit's bad, but that's funny.
Well, think about SNL. Like when I was really watching it, we had Dana Carvey playing like George Bush.
Mm-hmm.
And so much so that George Bush invited Dana Carvey, they were doing interviews together, and they became friends. They didn't have to take a joke. Yeah,
and then like with what's his name? That guy, that one comedian, Key. I can't remember what his first name is.
Yeah.
He got invited to that one inauguration ceremony thing, and he was just ripping on Obama and stuff like that. And Obama could take a joke. He was like, "Man, that's funny."
Yeah, they were doing stuff together, and he let them. Yeah.
Yeah, and then what's her name got up at the one after Trump was elected, and yeah, they wanted to bar her from ever doing anything again.
Oh, Michelle Wolf, I think. Yeah. He did not. He could not take a joke.
Yeah. And I feel that if you're going to be in some sort of political office or some sort of, you have to be able to laugh at yourself.
Yes.
And I feel that, yeah, even though Bush wasn't the best president in the world, he could still laugh at himself. And even today, he still does. I mean, he does some of the most hilarious things, like passing candy to Michelle Obama during a funeral of all things.
Right. Yes.
And he knows people are watching.
Yeah, whether you're pinning him a lot, at least he can laugh at himself. Yes.
Yeah. And I feel that is important if you're a person who is in any type of limelight. If you're willing or able to laugh at yourself, just not take things too seriously. And that's what I love about comedians, because they can damn sure laugh at themselves.
Oh, yeah. That's why the one show that I really liked was that Sacha Baron Cohen show, This Is America, where he was playing all these ridiculous characters and embarrassing everybody. And I'm like, that's a whole nother level of it.
Yeah, or Silverman's I Love You, America.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a really good one, too.
That one's funny. I mean, these are just those type of shows I do enjoy watching, because they make you think, but they don't. They also make you laugh, because it's like, the situations that are going on, these are actually hilarious if you step back.
Yeah, they're absolutely ridiculous situations. Yeah.
And so some of the other stuff that you're working on right now, let's talk about some of that. I mean, you've said you've got other stuff coming up that you're working on. You're on your website and things like that.
Yeah, I have 2 pilots that we're shooting, and another one it's kind of about happy hours. I love happy hours. One, because I don't have a lot of money, so I like to be able to go out, and I love the casualness of happy hour and getting some awesome drinks and just meeting some really cool people out, friends. I think a lot of times it's really hard. A lot of people don't connect as well, so I kind of love that time. So I wanted to explore that, where we find some really awesome places. We have different celebrity guests drop by, and it's just real casual discussions. and then learning about some new fun places. And another one that I'm doing is I love music. One of my favorite things, I love going to concerts.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to have, and I also love weed. So I'm like, let's combine those. I think they work well together. So I'm having musicians come on, and we have different dispensaries. Luckily, we have that in Los Angeles. We're going to be taking some of the weed. We're on a weed bus going to different concerts and just having some really fun discussions with musicians, because growing up, I used to love to watch all the MTV shows, and all those shows are gone.
Oh, yeah.
So, and all the bands I've talked to, they're like, a lot of times we don't know where to put our stuff. So want to have those guys come in there and have discussions and really get to learn a lot about a lot of different bands. So that's another one that I'm doing. And then I also have a full 30-minute sitcom that I'm looking to get that out as well.
Awesome. And I love that you brought that up about MTV, because yeah, that was the thing when you're probably the same age, around the same age I am. I'm in my 40s.
Yeah.
And I remember growing up, that was our thing to do in the evenings before MTV became all reality shows. It was late night where Ricky Rackman and all that, where he would bring on just, okay, we're going to be featuring Rob Zombie all week. You remember when Rob was painting the background scene for Heavy Metal Ball?
Yes.
And so it was like he was on for like that entire time until he got that whole mural finished. And it was cool to listen to him talk about his career, because he didn't start out in music. I mean, for good grief, the dude started out on Pee-wee's Playhouse.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah. I believe at one point in time, Rob Zombie was the mailman on Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Oh, no way. I got to go back and see that.
Yeah, go read the bio on it. But these type of things is what they would discuss. And we don't see any of that anymore from musicians. All you get to see, well, YouTube has become, I guess, the next MTV, where you go to see all the interviews. But yeah, I haven't watched MTV in years because it's all reality shows now.
Yeah, exactly. And that's funny that you were saying Robbie Rackman, but I used to love all kinds of music, but I would love to go see like Yo MTV Raps, and then go see Countdown, and then check out some of like the metal stuff too. But now it's just, I feel like music is just, it's not the same. You don't have the same kind of genre. It's like right away you have to get those hits, otherwise, or those views right away. Otherwise you're not going to survive. But there you had some of those shows where you can see those undiscovered artists.
Yeah.
Watching OMT Raps for this, I never heard of this band. That's really cool. Or this new metal band that was out, and let me check them out.
Yeah. And I guess with today's technology, pretty much anybody can be a musician, because there's so much in auto-tune and all this stuff. And I'm sorry if anybody's listening to this and you like some of these new characters like Lil Pump and 6ix9ine or whatever the hell that My Little Pony guy is. And like, I'm sorry, that's garbage.
Yes.
I mean, I grew up in the day when hip hop was hip hop, Big Daddy Kane, Public Enemy and stuff like that.
Wu-Tang.
Yeah, Wu-Tang Clan, and listening to heavy metal like Metallica and all those. I mean, those were the bands that I grew up on, and I've tried to listen to a lot of the newer stuff, and it's like, oh Lord.
Yeah. I'm excited actually that some of these bands. I actually saw Metallica 2 years ago in Outside Lands in San Francisco. I got to see Guns N' Roses play Dodger Stadium, and that was like
okay. How was Guns N' Roses now with Axl?
So they all kind of cleaned up their act, and they're not fighting. I think they're just like kind of comfortable. It's not like a Slash has to blow up or Axl has to. They just came together, and they were amazing.
I know Axl put on some weight, and I'm pretty sure it's because he quit the drugs.
Yes, and Ben Less.
Yeah, that caused a big thing because he wore that yellow suit, and everybody's like, "Oh, he ate the whole thing of bananas."
Oh yeah, he looks like he definitely hit the craft services a little hard.
Yeah, but I mean,
they were like you don't realize. Like, I didn't realize how good of musicians they were until you actually see them and get to like just jam out.
Yeah, and that's something I actually discussed with somebody the other day about musicians today. Because they were like, oh, we're going to go watch Fall Out Boy. And I'm like, ugh. And they were like, what? You don't like Fall Out Boy? I said, I love their music. If it's coming from the studio on a CD.
Yeah.
I've listened to them live before. I couldn't understand a damn word they were saying. And a performer that can perform as well live as they can in the studio, to me, that's the golden ticket right there.
Oh yeah, there's certain bands. That's Dave Matthews is one of my favorites, and seeing him live and off the studio, it's like, wow, you can understand everything. It's better live, and they're great in studio. And I just saw the Dead End Company. They came out here, and I was like, wow, I never heard them before. And it's like, wow, you could see why they had such a following.
Yeah. Another group I like, Erasure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and they just did their final tour because they had announced last year that they were doing one more tour, and it was going to be a worldwide tour. And they played 2 shows here in Texas. And I didn't get to go. Unfortunately, I didn't get to go to those concerts, but I did get my hands on their live performance at the Apollo.
Oh, good.
Wonderful. It was a great performance, and I love listening to live shows if I can. Like you were saying,
a band, and for me, Led Zeppelin is like the greatest rock band ever. There's a band called Greta Van Fleet. They're like these 20-year-old guys out of.
I've heard of them.
Heard of them?
Yeah.
If you close your eyes, you would think it's Led Zeppelin back, and I'm like, yes, finally, we get that sound. Yeah.
I'll tell you another one that I've really enjoyed watching, and have you heard of them? They just blew up all over YouTube and everything. Lilac.
No, I haven't.
The girl, she's got that raspy Janis Joplin voice.
Oh, okay.
And I think she's like 18. Their whole family plays in this band. Watching their background story or reading their background story, their family is from Romania, and they moved because they were tired of all like the religious crap that was going on there in Romania at the time. So they moved to the United States, and they raised their kids more secular, and they wanted their kids to experience the arts, music. So like everybody in that family knows how to play instruments, and they all have a love for heavy metal and stuff like that. And dude, they do cover songs and stuff. And you would think if the lead singer and Janis Joplin ever came together and had a love child, that's her.
Really? Wow, I gotta check that out. That sounds amazing.
Oh, she is really good. And then you're gonna watch the video and you're gonna be like, who are those little kids playing? 'Cause it's like her older brother plays one guitar, her sister plays drums or something like that, and then there's like the younger kids are playing guitar backing up with her. It's the whole family's playing with her.
Wow, it's like the Jackson 5 kind of.
Oh man, but they are really good, and I think they actually just recently got a record deal.
Really? All right, I'm definitely gonna check that out. That sounds awesome. You can have that kind of sound.
But yeah, that's what I like to see in music and artists and stuff like that. And I hope some of my people actually go to your website and actually are like, dude, I love this stuff too. I'm gonna start sharing it.
Oh yeah. Oh, thank you for bringing that up.
Bring up the website. There you go.
My website is Marc with the C, S, and then Gordon, GORDON.com. Same with Twitter and the Instagram as well.
And I will definitely be putting that in the show notes too, so everybody can just click on it and rock and roll on over there.
I definitely appreciate it. And I'm always interested I like to talk with different people. Like I'm always down to collaborate. Anybody has some questions, wants to just bring up anything. I would love to have discussions with you guys.
Or hey, if any of my other listeners out there run their own podcast, there he is. Get him on and let's talk.
Perfect.
I do actually have a lot of people that listen to this that are friends of mine that have their own podcast too. I've got one guy I'm going to actually send your name over to that I think you would really like his show. It's called Out of the Blank. And yeah, Robbie, you'd have fun with Robbie. Robbie likes talking to people too. He does a podcast where he talks to a person a day.
Oh, wow. Good for him.
So good podcast.
I love your style, man. I love having just like this free form and just really just talking about a bunch of topics. So
yeah, and it seems to work better because I'm showing my listeners the real you. We're not following a script and like, okay, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing. This one, You probably just won over a lot of my listeners because they're, oh, dude, he likes weed.
Yes, that definitely for me, it's like the best like relaxation or going to concerts for 'em.
What do you think about some of the legislation that's going on right now? Since I know you get into the political stuff, let's talk about some of that.
I love that they're kind of deregulating a lot of it. I really wish they would open up more because I'm a big fan of watching. Like I see all these people have seizures and kids and PTSD and soldiers, and the CBD works.
Yeah,
and it's very frustrating that it doesn't get.
It surprised the hell out of me because I actually had on a woman and her husband on the show. They own one of the largest hemp farms in the United States, and they manufacture CBD oil. And he's actually one of the ones that's helped writing some of this legislation to get CBD oils passed in Congress and stuff. He's 30 years of research in this. He's been to Switzerland, all these different countries. He's developed like 5 different strains himself genetically. And they're high in CBD, like less than 0.03% THC. It's mainly, these plants produce just CBD. And so we were talking about it, and we were talking about my state, Texas. And he goes, sadly, he said, I honestly think Texas is going to be one of the last states. There's only 13 states right now that haven't decriminalized anything. And I was like, man, he said, well, we're working on it. He said, don't quote me on these. He said, but by the end of 2020, he said, I have a feeling most of these states are going to roll around.
What's the crime in Texas if you're caught?
If you're caught with a jail time, possible prison time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's been like that forever. But here's what surprised me. About 3 months ago, Governor Abbott, it went across his desk. He signed off on it. They finally signed off on legalizing CBD in the state of Texas. And part of that bill was to allow Texas farmers to be able to grow hemp.
There's money. He's like, we're not getting this money, right? We need to get some of this.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the money that's coming in like Colorado and stuff like that. I just read an article here recently that it's like how many millions of dollars, like $240 million in tax revenue that they brought in just on the legal sale of cannabinoids, of different kinds of cannabinoids. And the article was actually talking about what they're doing with some of that. The state of Colorado is pumping some of that money back into homeless shelters to build them.
Yeah. That's amazing.
I mean,
people are going to smoke it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's kind of like, hey, you know what? You got you're taxing the recreational. Great. Now we have this extra income. Let's do something to help the community.
Right. I mean, ultimately, like, how many people who are smoking weed cause any trouble? Right?
Maybe at the grocery store when you're getting your Doritos.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Right. At the ice cream line, you're just taking a lot longer to pick out your flavors. You're getting a lot of samples. But other than that, yeah.
Yeah, because definitely, as Robin Williams said before, marijuana is not a performance-enhancing drug. The only way it can be a performance-enhancing drug is if you're on, like, running your ski slopes or something, and there's a 50-foot Snickers bar at the other end.
Well said, the great Robin Williams.
Yes, I miss him.
Oh yeah, that was growing up. That was my favorite comedian. Like I was just like, wow, this guy is just like a bottle rocket.
Oh man, and he was so edgy.
Yes.
He didn't care whose toes he stepped on.
Yeah.
He just did his comedy.
Yeah, and any young comedians out there, go watch. There's I think Robin Williams. It was in San Francisco in like '81. Probably one of his best shows. He literally, like you said, he just went for it, running through the audience, pretty much said and did everything there.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably one of the best stand-up shows I've ever watched.
Yeah, and it's hard to do comedy. I don't know, maybe you can voice in on this too. It's hard to do comedy in today's society with the way people react to things. They don't realize it's just a joke. Everybody wants to take offense to every little thing. I mean, you and I grew up on Eddie Murphy Raw.
Yes, I was just gonna say that he's doing another. He's coming back now.
Yeah,
and that was actually that was one of my favorites.
So, what do you think about this I guess some people would call it a heightened awareness of other people's emotional states or something like that. But it's hindering a lot of comedy, because now you got comedians that are saying, well, I can't get up on stage anymore and do my woman jokes because of all the feminists are going to come after me, or I can't do this joke because I'm going to have the LGBT community after me.
You know what? That's funny that you said that, because I just put up this one sketch, and it was me making fun of like Rudy Giuliani, made him crazy, and Judge Janine, who made her like just a raving drunk. And I posted that, and someone was like, "Are you left leaning or right leaning?" Because I needed, like, I wanted to know how to react. So they were waiting to see, they were like ready to rage on something depending upon which leaning I was, as opposed to just looking at the joke and saying, oh, okay, that was either funny or I didn't find it funny. Like, that's all I wanted. So it is interesting that everyone's like ready. They have to prove like, okay, I'm very woke. And sometimes over woke, and you're like, no, we're just here trying to joke. No, obviously it's like if you said something and it's just like really rough, like full on racist or super sexist, yes. But I feel like if you're saying something in kind of like a lighthearted manner, and it's the way you approach it, I feel like let it go. Like, let it go. It's a joke. That's all that it is.
Yeah. No need to destroy somebody's career, because I mean, that's literally what I see happening now. Because all it takes is you to say this one little joke. Somebody gets offended from it. They take that little snippet of the joke, and instead of taking the whole thing, they just take that little snippet. He said this. Bam, on Twitter. 200 million people all of a sudden commenting on it, and basically getting you. Now you've got venues calling you going, yeah, man, we can't have you here tonight.
But here's what I'm wondering. Is it that person who wants to rage to build their own following and does it? They're like, oh, let me find all these people and I want to be the first to tweet it or post it to make myself famous, or are they really just like, oh, we need to be offended by?
That's the question.
Yeah.
And I, in my personal opinion, I think it's the person just wanting to get the attention for raging. They want that. They get an endorphin high from that. Ping! Somebody retweeted your stuff.
Yeah, that's what I think too. It's just like we're so engulfed in getting that, our views and our likes, and kind of missing it. Yeah, talking to a lot of people, and they find it really, really tough. And I know for me, like, okay, I want to do some sort of sketches, and it touches political, and people are like, I don't want to be involved in that because I don't want to be perceived as one way or the other. I want to be kind of more middle of the road.
Yeah. I've had people that left reviews on some of my books before, and it's like, they think, I guess the way the way I read it, because I was like, I laughed, and I was like, oh, I honestly think they thought this was going to make me upset or something. And I would literally respond back to them. Hey, thanks for the comment. You bought the book.
Yeah, right. So, right. Like, in other words, like, a lot of it's entertaining, right? It's entertainment.
Yeah.
Which I find, yeah.
And a lot of people just don't understand that. Yeah.
Do you find it too? Sometimes there's something like if you get up on stage or somebody says in an interview, they get scrutinized more. But if it's in a movie or a show and then somebody says something very similar, it kind of let go because they're like, oh, the character said that. But it's the same exact joke or the same content.
Mm-hmm. Whether you're saying it on film or at a news conference desk. Yeah, I think a lot of people, I'm glad you said that, though. Woke, that is, I hate that.
Because I was thinking, like, with some shows, like we're having discussion, for example, Blazing Saddles.
Mm-hmm.
Would that be able to get made today? I don't think it would.
No, I don't think it would either. I think just that one scene, him holding the gun on himself.
Right. That would never happen.
Or every time he walked in, it was like, I'm the new sheriff, a black sheriff.
Right.
Yeah, it's
and that was written by Richard Pryor, co-written, like, yeah, one of the edgiest guys at the time.
I had a younger kid, somebody who was in the younger generation, they watched Blazing Saddles and they were like, how did y'all watch that?
Really?
And it was like, with popcorn. And we laughed our asses off. It's like, here, I got another one for you to watch. It's called Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Yes, right.
It's like I don't think any of Mel Brooks's movies could be made now.
I don't think so either.
Even
like, yeah.
Go ahead.
I was saying, I don't even know if even like American Pie, which was much more recent, I don't even think something like that would even be able to get made.
Yeah. And it's sad because it hinders a lot of, not just the actors, their art, the writers. There's a lot of good stuff that writers today can't put out because they're afraid of offending somebody who is woke.
Right. It just takes that one person to get that name out, and then there you go.
Yeah, and you see it on Facebook and social media. Just let one person make a wrong comment, and next thing you know, you got all of social media, all the grammar Nazis, all the SJWs out there just wanting to slam on you just because you said one little comment and it's like, hey, that was funny.
Right. Yes. I'm hoping that the pendulum kind of swings back a little bit. It might take a little time.
But you have an excuse. If somebody says something about you, can go, I'm a comedian, by the way.
Oh, yes. Yes, exactly. I think it is a joke. Yeah. That's what I was trying to say with a smile on my face.
Yep. That works. I can't do that. If I say something on here, then they rant and rave about it, and then I get people that unsubscribe or whatever. But it's like, hey, you know what? It's my show. You don't like it? You're more than welcome to be in that little square over there and have a chat with me.
But isn't that kind of like I would think some people are refreshed by that. Like, for example, Howard Stern was probably one of my favorites, my favorite radio host of all time. Well, next to you, of course. But I was like Howard, man, like that guy, I feel like he kind of just opened up a lot of doors to that,
Mm-hmm.
that style, and he was heavily criticized. But
I don't think if it wasn't for Howard Stern, we wouldn't have like the Bob and Tom show or anything like that. Some of those major syndicated shows, and some of them get political and some of them get pretty raunchy and stuff.
Right, exactly. And I feel like someone like that, like it's great that you have those people out there kind of taking hits.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that's on satellite. It doesn't seem to get into the mainstream.
Well, I'm doing what I can to hit into the mainstream, so.
Exactly.
You will probably never hear me on terrestrial radio because of some of the things I've said.
Do you feel that's more like you feel happier though, right? Like more freedom?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm free to speak my mind. And as I've said probably 100 times, if not more, I don't care who it is that I talk to on this show. I mean, I'm honored to talk to you because you have a story to tell and you've got an awesome story, man. Dude, you're doing some awesome things. But I don't care if I'm talking to a soccer mom, a life coach, a comedian, a movie producer, or whoever. We've all got a story to share, something to tell other people. Hell, if Donald Trump called me and said, hey, I want to come on your podcast, great. I will put you on.
Well, maybe he'll call in.
I doubt it. I'm not Alex Jonesy enough for him.
If you offer to give him like KFC buckets, maybe he'll jump in on that.
Yeah, or hand job. I don't know.
Oh no! I'm not gonna be able to get that image out of my mind.
Oh, did you see the latest tweet, the Monica Lewinsky tweet?
No, I didn't see that one.
Oh, that was so funny. And it said, "Come on, guys, really? Can we get our shit together?" She goes, "You know what? I will go in and give the man a blowjob. I will take the hit on this because it seems like what was it? Republicans won't impeach him for anything else, but they'll damn sure go after a blowjob."
Yeah, that's the part. It doesn't make any sense if we look back on because we lived through that Clinton thing. How ridiculous that was compared to this.
I remember watching all of that on TV because all that was going on about the time I was in high school, and it was like, really, they're going to impeach him because he had sex. Oh wait, no wait, he didn't have sex because you have to describe what the definition of is.
Is. Yeah. Oh, that was such a funny semantic.
Oh, and you know what was so funny? This is the funny part about it. I used to listen to that, and I was thinking, what is the definition of is? And I was like, oh, okay. And it wasn't until I actually got my own copies of Black's Law Legal Dictionary. That was a relevant question.
Right.
There's like 16 different definitions for the word is. Which one do you want me to use?
Exactly. Well, you grew up in Texas, or Louisiana, you were in down south, so I'm sure a lot of the evangelicals were probably just losing their mind. And then look at it today, where they're throwing cover at some of the stuff that Trump does.
Yeah, lost their damn minds over a blowjob. Yet porn stars grab them by the coochie, and
yeah, it is funny how far like we kind of. So in a way, it's like kind of touch back, like we're kind of woke in one sense, but on this other sense, those other people are. There's where how do you compare the two?
Yeah, and well, like I said, for comedy, it can't get any better. This shit writes itself.
Yeah, I mean, some of the stuff you can't even like when we're talking about that, like we're talking about someone with The Onion. The Onion is like we don't have to make up fake stuff. Actually, our stuff probably seems more mainstream than the stuff that's actually happening.
Yeah, and I honestly, before the election, when that video came out of him on Bang Bros bus and talking about it, I was like, oh, that's it. He sealed his fate. And then you watch the news, everybody gathered behind him, and I'm all like, what? No way. Am I watching this The Onion channel?
Yeah, no, exactly. It makes me think, though, it's like, I kind of feel like I'm smarter than the president. I've never always said that too many times.
I think I could run for president now.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, you're like, oh, it's so hard. Yep, I could do it.
Yeah, I want to see a sketch of you, presidential, getting up at the podium. All right, so for today's congressional speech, I'm going to be talking about, hang on a minute. There we go.
That would be.
You guys need to chill.
My Secretary of Defense would be Willie Nelson.
Oh, Lord. That'd be your Secretary of Agriculture.
Oh, yeah, that is a good point.
Yeah, Secretary of Agriculture.
That's funny. I was actually supposed to go to this event where Snoop Dogg was there, and we were supposed to go backstage, and I'm like, wow, I almost would be, I was like hoping to have my dream of smoking with Snoop. I know I definitely would not be able to hang with him more than like 30 seconds, but for that 30 seconds, it would be an amazing time.
There would definitely be some selfies shot.
Oh yeah, that would be.
It's like, oh, what's his name? Gabriel Iglesias. That when he went on Snoop Dogg's show.
Oh, did he really?
He talks about it in one of his stand-ups where he went on Snoop Dogg's show, and Snoop Dogg was like, "Say, man, you want to burn one with me?" He's like, and he had kind of look over the side. He had his son with him, and his son's like, "Dad's gonna smoke with Snoop Dogg."
How long did he last?
Not very long. He said that man, I mean, you think about it, this is Snoop Dogg. You can't hang with that man. That man has got weed running through his blood.
Oh yeah.
But he is so cool.
I love, actually, if you saw Snoop and Martha Stewart.
Absolutely.
Making together. I'm like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen in the world of baking shows. When they're making brownies, oh my god.
Oh, and they had Wiz Khalifa come in, and we're gonna put in some of that special KK.
Oh man, I gotta see that one.
Yeah, that one's so funny because he brought a bag of weed in.
Oh wow.
It was his own brand, the Khalifa's Kush.
Oh my goodness.
So they called it the KK.
Oh, he definitely can hang. I actually, when I used to do Eminem's video when I was kind of starting off, I was his photo double a couple times, and I was in all the lookalike ones.
Mm-hmm.
And oh man, talk about some of the people that used to drop in and smoke out. I mean, the video for that took way longer than it should, because they would just go into the trailer. It would be like Exhibit and Dr. Dre and all these other guys would go in there.
What was it like being around all those guys?
It was really interesting. Back at the time, I had this comedy rap video, non-political, and I would do it in my stand-up things. And I was just like going for it. Like I walked up to Dr. Dre. Well, here's a funny story. Dr. Dre and Eminem's manager. And I'm like, I want to do my video, do my song for you. And Dre actually gave me his card. And I was like, yeah, oh, great. I'm going to call Dr. Dre, and I'm going to like, who knows where this can go. And I called it, and I left a message. And I remember people calling me. I'm like, get off the phone. Dre's going to call me back. He never did. But for that time, I was envisioning of being the next Eminem. But it was but it was a really cool experience seeing these guys, like when they're like Eminem, as he's right after his this is his second album, like really blow up.
Yeah.
And it was just a crazy thing, because that's when, before he got sober, Eminem, he was just like really cocky. And man, it was definitely a wild experience. Like I said, all these guys were just dropping in, and just like you're seeing like all these guys that you see in all these videos, and just like really learning a lot. And it was a really cool experience.
Imagine I would have liked to have been around during that time, because
Yeah,
I used to listen to all that too. When I was already in my 20s, I think, when Eminem the first album came out, and I was like, dude, is this a white dude? I'm like, I got to see this.
And then in one of the videos, he's supposed to be rapping to himself, but I was his photo double, so it was just me and him in the car. And he's kind of like doing the songs, kind of going through to me to him. That was cool, because I actually got to talk to him a little bit.
Cool. It sounds like you've had a very interesting career.
Oh yeah, it is. It is really interesting to look back and just see some of the things that I went through. It was funny. I don't know how much time I have. I have a kind of an interesting story. There's a famous producer called Marc Gordon, and he's been, he's a really big producer in the game. And I remember walking by, there was an event going on, red carpet. I'm like, oh, that event looks cool. Let me see if I can get in. And I walk up to security. I can't. Then I see another guy holding up. They write your name on a whiteboard, and so that way the press can go by. And I was like, yeah, my name is Marc Gordon. He's like, oh my God, the producer, I've been trying to write for you for years. And I'm like, I got all your letters. They're fantastic. Can I get into this event? And because of having the same name, I went through all the paparazzi. By all these media were talking to me. I didn't even know what the event was. They're like, oh, you're here for fashion and support and this DJ. And I'm like, yeah. And they wrote my name of comedian, like, oh, you do comedy. Tell me a joke. And at the time, like, Ed Hardy was big. And I was like, yeah, anybody who wears Ed Hardy is a joke. And the one was like, oh, I wear Ed Hardy. And I'm like, this interview's over. And I just kind of walk off. Just think, what's going on? I came back and finished it. But it was like, I got in because I just had the same name. They gave me like VIP booth and all this stuff. And I'm like, this is crazy, this town. It's like, if you just kind of bullshit your way a little bit, you can get in.
Yeah.
So
and a lot of people make their break-in bullshitting their way into it.
Oh yeah. I got into this other event. It was during Oscars, and I did this whole, I can do like a Scottish accent, and I got my way into this A-list event. And I remember like walking up and shooting the shit with James Franco and getting pictures and talking to all these people. And I'm like, same thing. I just kind of like yes in, and you kind of got to see like kind of the two sides of it, of like this red carpet image, and everyone wants to like kiss your ass, as opposed to then not getting into the events.
Yeah,
it was.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was definitely fun.
Well, man, we are coming up on our time. So once again, to my listeners out there, I want you to pay attention, write it down. I'm going to have Marc give out his contact information for his website, social media, and stuff like that, wherever you want people to get a hold of you. So take this time to pimp you.
All right. So guys, thank you so much for listening. My website is Marc with the C, S Gordon. It's on Instagram and Twitter, and I'm just putting out a bunch of different sketches. Please comment back, or maybe something that you want to see. I would love to put that down and make it. And whatever brings a smile to your face makes me happy. And yeah, please reach out and contact me.
Awesome. And to any of my audience, if you need to get a hold of me, you know the email address. It's stalkermailbox@gmail.com, and you can call me at 361-433-5739 and leave us a voicemail, because we also do an After Dark edition. Mark, do you by any chance have any spooky things that have happened in your life? Something that you can't explain? Paranormal?
Yeah. Yes. Actually, one time we were working on this show where people were doing ghost stories, and we'd have people would come in and tell us all these things. And I'm like, I don't believe in ghosts, but listening to some of these stories, I was like, wow, okay. Maybe this did actually this paranormal reaction.
Yeah, because we do on Wednesday nights. I do a After Dark edition. And it's where we talk about all this strange stuff. Recently, we talked about the USS Nimitz and that UFO encounter that they had back in 2004. And the government is just now releasing all the information saying, yeah, they did have some sort of encounter. We don't know what it was.
Oh, wow.
And so, I had somebody contact me on Instagram, and they said, yeah, because they said they listened to the show. They listened to that show, and they said, yeah, that happened. And I went, how do you know? And he was, because I was on board the Nimitz.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, wow, you want to come on the show? Nope. We're not coming on the show. But he said, yes, it did happen. So that was interesting. And then we've done episodes on, I've interviewed a couple of paranormal authors on that show as well. It's a fun show. It's my fun. Let's relax and let's just talk about the weird, strange, and stuff like that. So like I said, any of my audience, if you need to call in, tell me your weird, strange story, 361-433-5739. Leave me a voicemail. 3 minutes long. If your story's longer, just call back in and continue. I'll fix it in post. Email me once again at stalkermailbox@gmail.com. If you need to get a hold of Mark and you can't figure out how to get to the details on this podcast, just email me and I will get you over to where you need to go. So with that, Mark, I want to thank you for coming on the show tonight. It has been a blast. It has been awesome talking to you about your career, because you've got a hell of a career.
Thank you, man. This was such a fun time, and good luck with your show. And I love that Wednesday concept.
It's just something fun to do. I mean, we enjoyed doing it. I've got Robbie comes in every now and then, and we just do a show together. I've got a couple of other people that like to come on, and we just talk about weird stuff.
I learned a lot of people have some really weird things, and getting some of their ideas out there and what happened to them. It's like, wow, fascinating.
Yeah, it is. And that's why we like to talk about it. So, I mean, that's it. And so
like
with that, yeah, it's like my show title is Anything Goes. So,
yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be it for tonight. You can tune in to Mark's show. Well, what the hell? You're listening to it now. Okay. Actually, no, it's twice. Okay, if you're watching this on video, tune in to Mark's show next Saturday, because the videos release before the audio. So with that, guys, we're out of here for the night. We love you. Just drive safe and just keep it real out there. Mark, you got any closing comments?
No. Thank you so much for having me on, guys. See you later. I have to go fire up something.
And we are out of here.
Now, here comes the music.
We want to thank you for tuning in to the Anything Goes Project. If you like this show, subscribe and share it. That would greatly help us out. To contact the show, email us at stalkermailbox@gmail.com. We love hearing from our subscribers and our listeners. The Anything Goes Project can be found on iTunes, CastBox, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, TuneIn, and many other Android applications. And once again, thanks for listening.